We're going to be dealing with conditionals and looping in Ada. To start off with, you're obviously going to need a few variables to store information. And then we have to decide, well, how do we want to compare these? So this is our simple if statement in Ada. Now obviously, as we compile and run this, it is not. Got a semicolon at the end. It's not going to output anything due to the values of the variables. And it does. So we can see in this case how just the basic would work. And as we saw before, using the Boolean conditional, and there are also ORs as well. So that's our basic if statement. If we want to add on, wrong place. If we want to add on, say, another test, this is what we would use. Helps you put the entire word in there. So this is an if and an else if. Lastly, you can throw in an else. And then this will demonstrate the fact that the else works. So that's how you do typical conditionals in Ada. And remember, you have the ands and the ors that you can use to put things together. The next part of Ada that we're going to get into is loops, looking at while loops and for loops. Now, the very basic loop in Ada is just loop, end loop, and if we want an infinite spamming program, we can write code like this. And as you can see, it just will continually spam code until it's finished. If we want to bound this so that we have a proper diet of spam, then we would typically write code along these lines, just a regular while loop. And if you notice, I combined the variable name, type, and initial value all at once up here. And I've typically been separating them for just sheer simplicity of looking at the code, but you can also combine them to save the number of lines of code that you write. This should only print out spam 10 times. So we have a much more limited amount of spam in our program. And as when you're writing loops, you have to make sure that you have your counter variable, you have your sentinel value, which tells it when to stop, and you also have your incrementer. Now, if you don't want to keep track of all of those different pieces, you can use a for loop. I'll use J because it's a different variable, and this demonstrates that you don't have to pre-declare J, and this is similar to other languages before you use it. And then let's go through and output J's value. So we have spam and 1 through 10. Now, We can also reverse the order of what we were working with. So that's a nice handy feature if you were wanting to reverse the order in which you access the variables. And this is necessary because unlike in Python, where we can specify the incremental amount each time through the for loop, that's not possible. In Ada, we have to use the reverse if we want to go backwards. So that's the basics of looping and conditionals in Ada.